Welcome into a Sports Phone Friday night, Orange Friday out at Oracle Park, and the San Francisco Giants get a win, which they needed, as they had a 3-game losing streak walking into Oracle Park tonight. And they went to the hottest starting pitcher they had, and that was Robbie Ray. And boy, he dazzled. He dazzled his last 3 starts, but tonight, there was a little extra on Robbie Ray tonight. He was out there to get that win. And he sure did in 7 innings, 2 hits only, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. We'll dive into what he did in those 7 innings in a minute. But the Giants finally got some early runs for a starting pitcher. And Robbie Ray and Hayden Birdsong get the first shutout for the San Francisco Giants this year. On the opposite side, they have been shut out 4 times, so it was good to see a 0 on the board for 9 innings for the San Francisco Giants. And really it all started with Robbie Ray, the first hitter. He struggled at first hitter, went 3-0 on Brandon Doyle, and what does he do? He walks him. And Sam Huff behind the plate sees a delayed steal and throws him out at second base, and that's how this game started. A very heads-up play. Sam Huff seeing a delayed steal and one of the fastest runners the Rockies had. And he got thrown out at second. And I think that just snapped Robbie Ray. He punches out Beck, gets a fly ball to Goodman, and he was on his way. He only threw 15 pitches the first inning, 8 for strikes. And then from there on, 10, 8, 13, 15, 18, 7. That's right. That's how many pitches per inning he threw. He ended up with 86, 57 for strikes. And when you start dialing in what he did today, and I love talking about first pitch strikes, you all know that. 18 first pitch strikes, 24 hitters. That tells you that he was on as soon as he got out there for every hitter. Every time he got out there, 18 first pitch strikes, 0-1. Think about that. If you can't think about that as a starting pitcher, that is the most successful pitch you can throw. And from there, we can break it down a little bit more. 45 fastballs, 31 sliders, 8 knuckle curveballs, 2 changeups. So he was dominant with the fastball, threw the nice slider. Good slider today, really sharp breaking slider. Knuckle curveball just to offset him. And a couple changeups. I'd love to see him throw a few more changeups. Of course, that's what he's been working on. He got up to about 96, 97 miles an hour, and that's pretty much how he's been the last 3 starts. Averaged about 94, 95. The slider was around 90 to 88. Good, quick break on him. And the knuckle curveball was a basic 81. And that's kind of what you wanted to see with that curveball. So when you look at what he did today, and then you look what he did his last start against Texas, where in 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. Milwaukee, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. So you throw his last 3 starts together. 19 innings, 12 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 walks, 20 strikeouts. Now, if you remember in the beginning of the year how many walks he had, that was one of the things we always talked about. He was walking 5, 6, 7 hitters. In his last 3 starts, he's dialed in. And I think the confidence is here. The arm slot is here. There's no more issues of the Tommy John. He is bringing gas. I talked about this last night about Justin Verlander. It took him a few starts to get going. His last 3 starts, 18 and a third, 12 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, 15 strikeouts. You see the comparison here? Do you see where the older 42-year-old right-hander and the 33-year-old lefty's given to this rotation now? And all through the beginning of the year, Bill, do you think they can get through the innings? Do you think they're going to be able to get starts? I'm telling you right now, they are on fire. They are consistent, and that's what they're looking for. Consistency out of some veteran pitchers. Hayden Birdsong came in. He hasn't thrown in a while, threw 2 innings. He didn't really throw strike 1. He only had 1 strike, 1 pitch, 6 hitters. But he's getting there in a time where he can get outs. Put him in different times of the game. He cleaned it up. Nice 8th and 9th inning. 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. No walks, 1 strikeout. Threw 26 pitches, 15 for strikes. They got to keep him throwing. That's what they have to do, and they did. Yesterday, of course, Verlander went out in the 7th, gave up a home run. It wasn't the night for Tyler Rogers. He gave up 2 earned runs. But tonight, the Giants did this, and they did it very effectively with Robbie Ray. You heard John Miller just now talk about his last 7 starts. The team is 7-0 in his starts. Here's the score. Cincinnati 6-3, Seattle 4-1, Yankees 9-1, Philly 11-4, Milwaukee 5-2, Texas 3-2, and Colorado 4-0. You see how many runs are given up? This is what you talk about an ace in a staff. This is what you talk about a consistent starting pitcher, limiting the damage to have your offense come in and win games. And they did today, no question. They all started that in the second inning. I just loved what I saw. Wilmer Flores taking an 0-1 sinker out to right center field. Maybe he could have stretched it for 3, but Wilmer with his speed said, no, I'll hang out here at second base and put a halt here. And it was a good move because it was the first hitter in the second inning. A curveball to Ramos, just caught it off the edge, a little dribbler out in front, but he beat it out, got it to bunt to first base. Flores moves over to third. Nice situation now. It's first and third, nobody out. Lamont Wade Jr., boy, he's been scuffling, but boy, he has been hitting the cover off the ball. Really, really hitting the ball well. Just doesn't have it in his average yet. He comes up on a 2-1 changeup. He tried to throw a changeup before that. And Sensatella tried to set up guys back-to-back on some pitches. 2 changeups in a row, 2 sliders in a row. Well, he tried to back it up on Lamont Wade Jr., and he hit a bullet down the right field line for a double. And boy, that thing was scalded. Second and third, beautiful situation for the Giants, and Sam Huff comes up. And we haven't really talked about Sam Huff as a hitter. I really think he's played well as a catching position, and he made good contact right here, hitting a fly ball to right field. Second pitch he saw, and he drove it deep enough for a sac fly. The Giants end up getting 3 runs. That is situational hitting. That's the way you want hitters to line up for their role going back to back to back. That's what the Giants did in the second inning. This is what we've been talking about. Attack, less strikeouts, putting the ball in. And the Giants did that in the second inning. They scored 3 runs, gave Robbie Ray some breathing room. Well, Matt Chapman came up in the third, saw a 2-1 slider, and as I said, Sensatella threw him 1 slider, tried to back it up the second time, got it up a little bit. Matt Chapman didn't lose that one. 418 feet. He crushed that ball. 6-1 of the season, and he really, really loved that pitch. There was no question. If you saw it on highlight, you could probably see his eyes get a little bigger as he saw the spin coming across the plate, and he didn't miss it. And that was something he needed. Coming into yesterday, 3 for 35 in a slump. You know what? Matt Chapman's got to crush the ball. Matt Chapman's got to be that guy to drive in runs. And that was all really the Giants needed. 4 runs. 4 runs is all you needed. And they got their first shutout. The Rockies only getting up 3 hits. Only 3 hits tonight. This is what you talk about when you're going up against a team that's 6-25, but they walked into Oracle yesterday 5-25. The Giants couldn't put up good at-bats once they got some runs yesterday. And they had 3 runs going in the 6th inning. Through the 6 innings, 3-1. They could not come back in that game. And the opportunities were there. They had people on base. They just couldn't come up with a clutch hit. Today, situational hitting won. Good starting pitching was excellent. And the Giants get their 20th win. There's only 6 teams right now in Major League Baseball that have 20 wins. You think about this. Only 1 team in the American League has 20 wins. I bet you can't guess who it is. It's the Detroit Tigers with 21. That's right. The Tigers are 21-12. The Giants, the Padres, and the Cubs have 20, and the Dodgers and the Mets have 22. Now, if you heard 3 teams in the National League West have 20 wins, and 3 other teams in Major League Baseball have 20 wins. So you kind of think, hey, the National League West, that's right. This is going to be a tough, tough draw as the season continues. And this is the team the Giants have to beat, the Colorado Rockies. They have 2 more before they go on a road trip to Chicago to play the Cubs. And there's one of your teams that have 20 wins. Then they go to Minnesota for 3. So I really believe this is a time to put the pedal down on the metal and really start playing a little bit better against these next 2 games. 808 KNBR, let's talk some Giants baseball tonight. Steve Kroner, who has been reporting for AP, he is in the locker room getting some post-game remarks. My name's Bill Lasky. This is Sports Phone KNBR. Let's have some fun tonight, talk Giants baseball, as the Giants have won their 20th game of the year. They're 20-13. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Now Chapman drives one. Deep left field. Gone! Halfway up the bleachers. In straightaway left field. That one was crushed. And that had to feel good for Matt Chapman. His 6th home run of the year. It's 4-0 Giants.
All right, back on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Lasky. Giants win today their first shutout for the 2025 season, as the Colorado Rockies only managed 3 hits and got shut out 4-0 by the San Francisco Giants at Oracle Park on Orange Friday, as the Giants had their orange jerseys on, and it was a good win as they broke a 3-game losing streak. 808 KNBR, if you want to get on the phone lines, you can call 415-808 KNBR. And if you want to know the numbers, it's 415-808-5627. So there's 3 opportunities to call the same number for you tonight. All right, Robbie Ray, I just want to continue to keep talking about him a little bit. 8 strikeouts, 5 swinging, 3 by called strikes. And when you start dialing in of what numbers he threw out there per pitch, per inning, and I threw him out there very quick earlier, 15 and 8, that means 8 strikes, 10, 7 strikes, 8 for 8, 8 straight pitches, 8 strikes, 13 pitches, 9 for strikes, and that was in the 4th inning, 15-9, 18-12, 7-4. You see what the numbers are. He was dialed in throwing strikes today, and he was efficient. 18 first pitch strikes, 24 hitters. Yep, I am complimenting him as much as I can because he really dazzled, and he threw the ball consistently. And every inning he went out there, and he boom, strike 1. That's what you want to see out of starting pitchers. Those are the things that you can dominate the opposition with, and he did that very efficiently today. John Miller talked about it in a postgame. 7 starts he was on, 7 straight wins. The Giants have won since he started each one of those games, and right now he's 4-0 with 4 wins, no losses. And just a good, solid game. Tomorrow, Jordan Hicks does it again. Jordan Hicks threw pretty well his last outing against Texas. Here's his numbers. I have them right here. 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. The no walks, that's what we keep looking at for these starting pitchers, and they really have stopped the walks. They've had a lot of problems with that in earlier starts of the year. But when you start looking at them, they're now starting to get that 6th, 7th start in. This is when you start getting a little bit more confident in what you can throw. You're starting to learn your catcher a little bit more and understand, what you're going up against and opponents. And I think that's what today was with Robbie Ray. He knew if he could get some mileage out of his fastball, and the Colorado Rockies couldn't turn any of it around. That's why he went heavy on the fastball today when you're looking at 86 pitches, and 45 of them were fastballs. And like I said, the highest one was 96, average was 94. Good game all around for the San Francisco Giants. All right, got the lines full. Let's go out to Greg in Portland. Greg, a good win the Giants needed after 3 straight losses. What did you see tonight?
Hi, Bill.
How are you, Greg?
Yeah, first call of the season.
Yeah, well, where you been?
I've been around the world, wandering about.
Yes, sir. Up in Portland, you're probably wondering when the sun's coming out, right?
Well, we've had plenty of sun. It's it's too dry.
So, what'd you think of Robbie Ray today? Were you impressed?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about Ray and Huff. Ray had a rough start. We were both worried about him. He's come around. Real pleased with him tonight. He's pitching well. What can you say? I want to talk about Huff. People were wondering about him, kind of mumbling, if you will. I felt, give him some time. The Giants always have a good backup catcher, and I was worried that maybe this time it wasn't going to happen. But he's coming around. He's catching. Yep. He's catching a good game.
And you're absolutely right. They picked him up off waivers from the Texas Rangers. He's never been in the big leagues, only for a couple weeks. And it does take time just to learn to play and be a part of a big league team, be a part of a big league opposition when you're going against some of the best hitters and learning about them. And he's kind of really taken good place behind home plate. Got a good arm. I loved what he did throwing out Doyle in the first play of the game because he was trying to do the old delayed steal, and he caught him. He tried to catch him off guard. Some other things he did, blocks the ball well. He really does. And, watching the hitters because they have the pitch comm, you don't see many times people shaking. Verlander shakes, but he goes real quick. Sometimes he'll hold and then shake. And I think him and Bailey are starting to get on it. But, Robbie Ray the same way. And today, really just a 3-pitch mix, the fastball, the slider, and a knuckle curveball. But he was dominant. He was dominant from, after the first hitter went out. After he walked the first hitter, he went 3-0, and he comes back. And after that, I thought he just caught magic, and he was right after it.
Well, I like listening to you, Bill, about so many things. I learned baseball from you, but I got cut as a sophomore in high school. but I was a catcher, and you tend to be a thoughtful athlete if you play catcher, particularly once you kind of get into it a little bit. 8th grade, freshman, even then you're starting to think about the game. And
you see the game
and I like
differently.
listening.
I think that's what it is, Craig. You see the game differently once you're absorbing what's going on.
But I like listening to pitchers like yourself because they know what catchers do and how important they are. Mm-hmm. And you just have commented about that again, this whole situation. So I'm happy with I think the Giants will be happy with Huff. It's only May 2nd.
Right.
We got to remember
35
that.
games only when you're thinking about it.
Yeah, we've been
33.
playing for a
I'm
month.
sorry, 33 games. My mistake. 33 out of 162. And what I don't like and what I saw today is people already splitting, the record down in half. Like, look what they did, in the first 18 games compared to what they just did in the last 14. Come on, come on. They're 20-13. Why are we all of a sudden saying they're out of a nosedive going backwards? They really aren't. You're going to have ups and downs throughout a year. And, Greg, you know this. You watch baseball all the time. We've talked many years. You're going to grind out some wins. You are going to lose some games on some misplayed balls. But it's today's game when I said in the beginning, good at bats, following up with a good at bat, following it up with a sac fly. The situational hitting is what they have to get better at.
Well, we've got a lot of the year in front of us. They're playing so much better. They're enjoyable to watch, which I tell everybody, they don't aggravate me anymore.
It's a different brand of baseball, don't you think?
They're right. They're fun to watch. They're playing good baseball. And, this is Posey. This is a different group running things. Players know, in my opinion, I read the Chronicle online, so what? Players are not looking over their shoulders.
Right.
They're not worried about all this analytics crap that
the revolving door isn't at the locker room. That's the other thing that I like. It's only for injuries. There really hasn't been any kind of transaction of any kind of move if a guy's struggling or not. That's what you're getting out of Buster Posey. That's what you're getting out of Bob Melvin. You're letting Bob Melvin and his coaches coach. You're changing some direction. You're making adjustments. That's what baseball has always brought in my mind. How do you teach the game? How you manage the game? How you adjust from hitter to hitter? How you see J.P. Martinez going in there talking to his starting pitchers? You got to get to iPads. Sure, I love when you guys watching iPads, but they're also watching what the hitter got him out, what the pitcher got the hitter out on, as well as pitchers seeing what the location is of the last pitch that maybe somebody got a double on. Was the ball up? Was the ball down? Did he hit a good pitch? Because sometimes these guys do hit good pitches.
They're playing better baseball. And you've talked with me for a few years now, more than that. They're not making M's. My favorite unofficial statistic. Less errors for sure, absolutely. I don't know if they have 11 errors yet.
Yeah, they do. They're second in errors. They have 13, and
do
the
they
Mets.
Have that many?
Yeah, and St. Louis has 12. So when you're looking at the best, they're right in there. The Mets have 14. Tampa Bay, Houston, Atlanta all have 12 and 13. So you're looking at some of the best. And I look at that, and you saw a play yesterday. Matt Chapman booted a ball. But that guy's just been gold glove material. His plays at third base, Greg, and I compliment him every show I'm on, just how deep of third base he plays and his golden arm, how fast he gets rid of the ball, and how accurate he is. And now today, I do want to compliment Lamont Wade Jr. I had a couple callers a couple weeks ago saying, no, Lamont Wade Jr. is terrible at first base. And I said, absolutely not. This guy can pick them. And today he showed how versatile he is on the bag and picking those balls and reaching out, stretching for them, and still snagging them. No, I'm right there. I think he is a very good first baseman. And he's gotten better at it, Greg. That's the other thing. Don't forget,
we got to give him time.
Yeah, he was an outfielder. Yeah,
right.
So it's all good, though, Greg, man. It's all great.
Yeah, well,
great
thanks for taking my call.
Today. Yep, appreciate your time, as always, my friend.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, Greg, thanks so much. And Greg's a big-time Giants fan up in Portland. The pluses and minuses I always talk about with him. We always adjust, and it always ends up with a positive. That's what I love talking to Greg. All right, let's go to East Palo Alto and talk to Alex. Alex, you're on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Lasky. How you doing tonight?
I am so glad the Giants game was stress-free tonight because, oh, my goodness, that other game sure wasn't tonight, Bill. I think we all needed the Giants game to be very relaxed and chill, and thankfully they were able to quickly pull ahead and just kind of coast. But I got to tell you, Bill.
Good outing, though. Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, if I watch this Warriors team not figure out how to get a good shot off against the zone defense, I'm going to start pulling my hair out.
I hope you got a lot of hair, Alex. I hope you got a lot to pull out because they struggled, man. They struggled again tonight, especially on the defensive end. But you know what? I'm not here to talk Warriors. I was flipping out back and forth. I saw the final score. I wasn't as happy as you. And you know what? Now we go into Game 7 with the Warriors and the Rockets.
Certainly. And look, this Giants team, they were just as frustrating, I feel like, the night before because of the fact that, you go into a series against Colorado, and, I mean, even Willie Adames was kind of being like, you need to do what you can to try to sweep this team. So to lose the first game, I feel as if tonight they played with the right urgency where you're playing against a team that's, like, undoubtedly inferior in terms of talent level to you. You outpitch them, you quickly put it up. Sure, it would be great if they could add a little more offense, but when you get up by 4, you just hold it there and go. I certainly think there's an element of this team where if they're going to be as good as they've looked to start the year, which they've looked great, they've got to really take advantage of the teams that are not that good. And
this was really the first team that really been under 500. They've been playing a lot of teams over 500. They've been playing the American League. It seems like every week they're playing them, and they've really have played good against the interleague, as they call it. The American League is what I call it. And now they're playing the NL West. Of course, they went down to San Diego and hit 2 tough pitchers with the Padres. The Padres maneuvered their rotation so they could throw them. And they ended up losing 2, and then they came back here. And I think every Giants fan, as well as every analyst, said, you're playing 4 against Colorado, and they're 5-25. Let's go. Let's rip and roar and win by 10 runs every day. But you got to pull it back a little bit. Even though the Rockies are 5-25 coming in, these are major league players, and there are some good talent over there. It's tough to play in Colorado. We know that. We watch it. But they just got off to a dismal season, and they can't get out of it now. And now this is where you have to play good baseball, sound baseball, good pitching, good offense, and you should beat this team. And I think that's what they recapped yesterday and came out today on an Orange Friday and played good, sound baseball and won that game, and that's what they need again to do tomorrow.
And I would say do it again Sunday as well. I think, relatively speaking, if you had gone into the weekend and said you take 3 out of 4, you're going to be like, all right, that makes sense, that works well. It never is fun to lose the first one, but if you take care of the rest of the business, that's a
and the other thing, Alex, you're lined up perfectly. Jordan Hicks on the hill tomorrow, a good hard thrower with a good breaking ball, a lot of right-handers in this lineup. And then you got your ace coming back after that San Diego game on Sunday with Logan Webb. So you got to get some early runs tomorrow. They got a 24-year-old called Bradley Blaylock. He's only pitched 1 time. He's been in 3 games. Here's a guy that's going to go out there, and if you can rattle him early in the game and get early runs, you'll be able to win that game.
Yeah, and I certainly, Bill, it feels like the way the Giants are utilizing Hayden Birdsong, it almost feels like a callback to your era of pitching in the big leagues, where there would be a couple of relievers who you would just basically use for an entire turn through the lineup to just shut down the game at different points. They've done that now with Birdsong several times. Tonight, obviously, it was kind of a get us to the end of the game role when we're up by 4. But it feels like he's becoming a weapon for them in that role in a way that, kind of is a throwback, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of like a middle reliever, a guy that can go 2 or 3 innings. I know Kipe said it on the TV broadcast that you have to go 3 innings for a save, and Kruk came right back at it and said as a pitcher's mind, but he's still finishing the game. He's finishing the last 2 innings, which is the hardest innings in any baseball game. It's still 4-0. It's not 8-0, so he had to bear down, and he really did well. He gave up a base hit to the first hitter he saw. And first pitch he sees. Then he goes 3-0 on Miller, and everybody's probably saying, whoa, what's going on here? And he comes back beautifully, gets a fly ball to left field, and then they turn a 4-6-3 double play, and he's out of the inning. That's what he can do when he throws strikes, and he did that today. Again, 15 strikes for 26 pitches. He didn't really throw his whole arsenal today. He only really threw fastball, slider, the curveball only a couple times, and a changeup. But in 2 innings, you don't have that much length. You can use all your pitches. But today he just went in there and said, I got to put 2 zeros on the board, and they get their first shutout.
Well, and especially, he was so good on Sunday to shut down 3 innings on the end of a 17 straight days of game stretch to kind of really help the bullpen just save itself and get rested into the big weekend. Obviously, it didn't work in San Diego like everybody wanted, but he did a job and a half by shutting those 3 innings down. So maybe there's a little bit of just rust to knock off because they clearly gave him a little extra time. But I really think, they've set him up to be just something that no other team right now really has in that way, not just as a guy who could go back into the starting rotation, but really to be in such a specialized role like this where he's a multi-inning guy. I'm really excited, actually, as to whatever experiment you want to call this.
The one thing, Alex, talking to J.P. Martinez when we talked to him about putting Hayden Birdsong in a bullpen, and he really just came flat out and said, Bill, he's not going to come in an inning with runners on base. He's not going to come in with first and second and 1 out. We're going to give him clean innings to start. And I thought that was a real smart move because he's 23 years old, never pitched out of the bullpen, and he's a starting pitcher. So give him a clean inning, like a first inning, going into the 6th inning. This like tonight coming in the 8th inning, nobody on, nobody out. You're going out there like it is your first inning. I like that theory. Yeah, it settles him down.
And Randy Rodriguez has been one of the best firemen in baseball that you could throw him into almost any situation right now, and you feel confident he might be able to get out of the situation, how dangerous it might be with as little damage as possible, that it makes it easier. The bullpen, it's definitely been, I think, the biggest surprise of the year with this team.
Yeah, Alex, I don't know if it's a surprise because they went into the season knowing they had strength in their bullpen. They got better, of course, and now they got Walker and Duvall, both possible. It could be closers. Yesterday, the first real major hiccup by Tyler Rogers, Mr. Reliable. They just pushed it all different ways yesterday. They ambushed him on the first or second pitch, and I think that's what Tyler Rogers is going to have to maybe do, throw a couple balls instead of falling strikes all the time, because I think hitters are going to start doing that. The more and more he goes out there, I think that's how he loses some of his reality when he pitches, because everything is soft contact. But they come after him on that first or second pitch, and he's usually in the zone. But you know what? It happens. He was lights out going into that game yesterday, 16 games with a .059. How can you complain about a guy like that and all of a sudden you just give up a couple runs? Sure, they'll end up losing the game, but he only gave up 9 hits in 16 and a third innings, and he only gave up 1 walk. So, these are things that Tyler Rogers is good at, and he has been that reliable guy in the bullpen. Yesterday it didn't happen, but today they come back and they win the game. But, Alex, thanks for the call tonight. Really is always a pleasure talking to you, and let's see if they can pull out 2 more wins and go to Chicago with a nice 3-game win streak. All right, this is Sports Phone KNBR. My name is Bill Lasky. We got to take a break. Got a few more call lines open. Please give me a call. Got a couple people on hold, and we'll come back and get those calls. Steve Kroner is going to join me later in the show. He's writing for AP tonight. He's been in the locker room getting some post-season, post-game reports. Can't wait to talk to him later in the show, but let's get this game going on. The Giants have won again. They're 20-13, a nice win after a 3-game losing streak, and we'll come right back here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
1-1 pitch. Ground ball to third. Chapman, high hop. He's got it. He'll throw to first. Low, and it's pulled out of the dirt by Lamont Wade. Nice play by Wade. And Robbie Ray finishes 7 strong. And who knows? Maybe he's not done for the night. What a performance by Ray.
All right, back on a Friday night, Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. Giants win today 4-0. Tomorrow, first pitch right here on KNBR at 1:05. Jordan Hicks on the hill. Got last outing, really threw the ball well. He went 5 innings, 7 hits, only giving up 2 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. I loved his mix, 60 strikes in 84 pitches, 8 ground ball outs, 2 fly ball outs. And he was sensational as the Giants won that game 3-2, and that was against the Texas Rangers. Going against him as a young kid, man, they changed it up. Feltner was supposed to start. Now they're starting Bradley Blaylock, a right-hander. They picked up from the Brewers last year in July. And right now, he's 0-1 with a 10.29 earned run average. He's only pitched in 3 games. He started 1, was a relief in the other 2. 7 innings pitched, 12 hits, 8 earned runs, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He threw against Cincinnati, his only start. He went 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs in that game. And in the other 2 relief roles against the Athletics for 2 innings, for 2 hits, and 1 inning against the Philadelphia Phillies where he gave up 3 hits and 2 runs. So, Ryan Feltner was the one that was supposed to start yesterday. He was scratched. And then Herman Marquez is going to pitch on Sunday, and he's 0-5 with a 9.8 earned run average. So we talk about a 2-game win streak possible with these 2 starters that the Rockies are throwing when you have Jordan Hicks and Logan Webb on the hill for the Giants. So let's see what happens and if they can mount the attack they did today with some great situational hitting and some good starting pitching, get the bullpen rolling, get out of Dodge with the 3 wins on 4 games against Colorado and go on a nice road trip to Chicago and Minnesota. Our Giants are 20-13 right now. The Colorado Rockies 6-26. Like I said, first pitch tomorrow at 1:05. Let's go out to Oakland and talk to Daryl. Daryl, you're on a Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Lasky. Hopefully you're doing well tonight. How are you?
Hey, Bill, I'm doing okay. I am doing well. I'm, as good as you could be, I guess. Hayden Birdsong is kind of like the unsung hero of the pitching staff. He's not a starter, but he, like the last caller said, they put him in a situation and used him. He's been phenomenal so far. He has his stats across the board are good, and
very good. Mm-hmm.
He's kind of carried that the back half of the staff, and now they're starting to come back. Back half of the staff is starting to pick it up, and
well, the one thing, Daryl, he can give you length in the bullpen. He can give you 2 innings, 3 innings if you need. He's only 23 years old. I keep refreshing that to Giants fans. When you don't pitch out of the bullpen and you're only 23, you have to learn how to warm up. You have to learn what you adjust to. And you have to learn what pitches are going to come out of that bullpen working. As a starting pitcher, you have 20 minutes to get rolling. You have enough time to get your fastball rolling. If the curveball's not snapping, you got enough time to adjust to it. Learning this at 23 years is only going to make him a better pitcher. And coming in tonight for the 8th and 9th inning, it's only 4-0. He needed to get 6 outs. And that's what Bob Melvin wanted. I was wondering if he was going to go to the bullpen for the 9th inning, but he stuck with him. And I thought that was good confidence for that young kid.
Yeah, I mean, he's the unsung hero. He's kind of, he's taken up the slack for whatever's been happening, and now the back half of the pitchers are starting to pitch better. Verlander pitched well, Hicks pitched well. So,
I like to just talk about that, Daryl, because immediately when Landon Roop struggled a little in San Diego, some of the writers, not all of them, well, is this the time when you take Hayden Birdsong out of the bullpen and put him in the starting rotation and put Landon Roop in the bullpen? You can't panic like that. That's the worst thing you can do for young pitchers. And Landon Roop's 25 years old. Birdsong's 23. You got to give these guys a little rope to pitch with. And that's what I like what Bob Melvin, J.P. Martinez, even Buster Posey, they're giving these guys enough time to gel together, work off them some tinks, and see what they can do to maneuver a little bit better the next time out. Yeah, Landon Roop has had a couple hard games lately. Hasn't really had his good stuff. The only thing I dislike what he's doing, all he's doing is throwing a sinker and a curveball, and he worked on a sweeper, he worked on the changeup, and these are 2 extra pitches for his arsenal, and he's not using them. And that's about the only thing that I would love to ask him. Why aren't we using these 2 pitches that you developed in spring training, and they work for you? You saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the different pitches you threw at different times of the count. Now it seems like he's a two-pitch pitcher. That's about the only thing that I would ask, an opinion of mine, of why aren't we using more pitches as a starting pitcher? Look what Hayden Birdsong has. He's got 4 great pitches. And I think as a starting pitcher, you have to have at least 3 or 4.
Well, yeah, I mean, spoken from a true pro, you're a professional, sir. I mean, so you would know. And so,
well, I just like throwing my knowledge out at you, Daryl. That's about all. You know, it's just it's really just learning about what pitching coaches do with their starting pitching and their bullpen guys. You know, where can you manage pulling those ropes in and out, in and out? Who can pitch here? Who can be the next guy up? What's coming up in the lineup? Are there more righties or lefties? And today, Robbie Ray went out there and he carved up a lot of right-handers, and a lot of it was straight fastball or slider. And this is a lefty-dominant pitcher against a right-handed lineup. So that's the kind of, when I watched him dial up today, and boy, he was consistent every inning. I threw those numbers up. I'm not going to do it again because he was dominant with 15 pitches or less in every inning.
And he's number 2 for sure right now. He's number 2 right behind Webb.
If you look at the old picture, if you look at what the picture is right now, I'm going to tell you, Robbie Ray, in 7 starts, the Giants have won all 7 games. Now, would you call him your ace now, or not?
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
so you know what? When you're looking at the full picture, when you're looking at 7 starts, pretty much of all your starting pitchers, and you look what the team does when you're playing, and what pitchers are keeping you in the game where your offense can come back, I'm going to tell you, Robbie Ray has been pitching lights out.
Yeah. Agreed.
No question. Yeah. So we'll see. Tomorrow, I want to see another good outing by Jordan Hicks. He threw real well against Milwaukee. All he has to do is throw in the zone, fill the zone up. He's got electric stuff, 98 to 100 with that devastating slider, and I love what he's doing. He's starting to throw a split finger a little bit more, and I think that's a great pitch for him.
He definitely has he has velocity on his pitches, and he's really he was a good reliever in where was he? Yankees?
St. Louis.
And now St. Louis. Okay.
St. Louis. Then he went to Toronto, and he really wants to be a starting pitcher. And when he came over here with Farhan Zaidi, he said, "I'll sign a 2-year contract as long as I'm in a rotation." And the Giants are saying, "Let's do it." Over the winter, he really worked out hard, built up his legs and strength and durability. And now I like what Bob Melvin's doing with J.P. Martinez, getting these guys 5-6 innings. Of course, Robbie Ray went 7. I just want them to go 6 innings with some of these guys in the earlier part of the year and let that dominant bullpen get 9 outs for them. And I think that's what they need to do with Verlander, Robbie Ray, and Hicks. I think those are the 3 guys I would love to see go 6 innings. Robbie Ray went 7 today, really dialed in well. But, you got to have low pitch count, and you got to have those numbers on that velocity still ticking up at the average that you're throwing the whole game.
And Verlander did good too. I mean, they're coming together.
I'm sure he's scratching his head because they don't have a win yet. When you're looking at what he's done, but we'll find out more. Daryl, thanks for the call. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.
When you're looking at the starting 5, and I'm saying it over and over again about Landon Roop and Hayden Birdsong. You got to let these guys pitch. You got to give them some length. You're looking at hitters right now with just about 100 to 115 at-bats, and you can't judge it off 100 at-bats. They're going to get 500 to 600 at-bats by the end of the year. The starting pitchers hopefully will get 150 to 200 innings. Look what Logan Webb does. He's over 200 innings every year now. If you can get these veteran pitchers like a Verlander and a Robbie Ray 150 to 180 innings, that would be sensational because that gives them length. That gives them over 25 starts. And I think that's what you want out of some of these guys. If they can stay in this rotation, stay strong, stay healthy, there's a good shot this rotation is going to be well run as the season continues. All right, let's go to Rick. He's in Hayward. He was at the game tonight. Rick, was it cold out there?
Yeah, it was cold. And I was in the party section. I was in the party section. So
you were in the party section?
Yeah, I had to fight with people just to watch the game. I mean, I know that people want to go to socialize, and I get it. But when you're right behind home plate, like I was in 318, you want to watch the game.
Those are good seats too, Rick. Yeah, you should want to watch the game when you're right behind home plate.
Yeah, whatever. I know 35,000. You can't complain too much. Robbie pitched excellent.
I believe so too. That's about his third straight start too, Rick. I threw those numbers out there. You threw against Milwaukee, 5 innings, only giving up 2 earned runs. Texas, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. Tonight, of course, 7 innings, no runs. The consistency starting to come, and I'm looking at the velocity for the last 3 games. He was at 96, a little bit over 96 today. He was the same numbers last game against Texas, and I think that's what we want to see, consistency out of the fastball, which makes you know that arm is healthy, and this is what you want to ride with him right now because he's healthy and he's bringing it.
Yeah, he was at 92 in the first. Then he jumped it up to 95 in the second, and at 96, I think I even saw 197 in the 7th inning. So he was really bringing it. I was very impressed. You know, it is the Rockies, and they're challenged offensively. There's no doubt about it. They're just a challenged offense right now. But, hey, you've got to take, like an earlier caller said, you got to take advantage of these teams.
You do.
Because where do we go next? We go to Chicago. Another 20-win team.
Yep.
You know, so you got to look ahead and say, and I get what you're saying, Bill. I'm on the fence about talking about the last 20 games as opposed to the first 9. But you know, we're 10 or 11-10 now in our last 21 games.
Well, I could break this down. I wrote this down earlier, and Rick, this is a perfect time to throw it. The first 18 games, they were 13-5. The last 14 games, they're 6-8. And one of the things that you look at is runs per game. They average 5.6 runs a game in that 13-5 span, and they only average in 3.2 in the last 14. That's telling you right there when you look at the offensive numbers, and Rick, you and I talk averages all the time, they're still just over 200. The only one that's really hitting over 300 is Jung-Hoo Lee. Yastrzemski in the leadoff spot still hitting 285. But there's really a big dip after that.
Yeah, that's the main issue with the team right now. Yeah, Rogers gave up a few runs last night, but you really can't rip Tyler. I mean,
not at all.
Bullpen,
yeah.
I laughed when the guy said, well, the bullpen is average. I'm like, what? The bullpen is the star of the team right now.
Rick, I was on Sports Phone last night, and I threw out a concern. And one of my concerns was why Bob Melvin didn't go to Duvall for the 8th inning. He only threw 7 pitches to get out of the 7th. That was about one of the things that I wish he would have just let him go out in the 8th. Now, if somebody gets on, then you bring in Tyler Rogers to get that double play. But I still think he could have given Duvall a little length in that 8th inning.
Yeah, I'm not gonna question Mel.
No, it's opinion. That's what I said. Last night. I said I'm not ripping anybody. I'm talking. It's talk. Sports. And that was one of the ones. And then the other one was having Verlander go out in the 7th inning. He was up to 75 pitches right in there. And I was wondering, after he got the 2-run lead, get your bullpen 9 outs. So, those are just a couple questions and thoughts I had, and this is what I do as the host. You throw them out there and get opinions. And a lot of people last night were saying they would have loved to seen Duvall go out. He threw 99-mile-an-hour cutter in those 7 pitches, so he was warmed up. It wasn't like he was forced to get out there quicker.
Yeah, I agree.
My thoughts.
I'm more concerned about I'm more concerned about the offense than I am about the pitching. Because like you said, if you only can score 3 runs a game, your pitching basically has to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And we know from history that even if the Giants give up 3 to 4 runs a game, they should be winning those games. That leads me to my concern about Bailey. 159 after 100 at bats is not very good. I don't care if the guy is an excellent defensive catcher. You can't have a catcher
going into yesterday's game. 13 for 81, no home runs, 9 RBIs. He was hitting a $160, and he went 0 for 3 with a walk yesterday. I just look at the contact, and the contact's soft. There isn't really hard contact. He's not really driving the ball. And last year, look how hot he was in the beginning of the year. I thought dynamic, both sides of the plate, behind the dish and also hitting. This year, it seems like it's been mostly all defense with him. I just don't like some of his at-bats. Sometimes you see him swing with one hand.
Yeah. And that's a concern.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, you have a big surprise with Jung-Ho Lee. I wasn't expecting 318. I wasn't expecting the way he makes contact. I was expecting great defense from him, but not the offense that he's giving us. So
yeah, Chapman too. I'll throw Chapman's name in this because, when he left New York, he was like 2 for 40, something like that. He got into Philadelphia and got red hot, came into Anaheim and got red hot. And then all of a sudden, the last homestand, when they were 5-2, didn't really hit well. He was 3 for 34 going into yesterday's game, hitting the ball better. And today, of course, that slider he saw hit it out of the ballpark, but he still punched out a couple times today. They're elevating a fastball on him, and they're throwing a dipping slider away from him. Make adjustments. I don't know. They're saying he's hitting a lot early BP, and, of course, Matt Chapman's going to keep dialed in because he's that good of an athlete. He's a great athlete, and he wants to get better. But there's times where he comes up there, and you're just like, okay, here he is. This is the guy you want up at this time, and it hasn't worked. His range of hitting's been up and down, up and down. Wilmer Flores in San Diego, I loved what Kruk and Kipe said. That was his twin brother because he was like 0 for 8 with 7 punch-outs. You got to get better. You got to get better at bats. And that's, I think, what Pat Burrell, Damon Minor is trying to get these guys to do. Make more contact. They only punched out 5 times today. And you know this as well as I do, Rick. When it's double-figure strikeouts, they are not scoring runs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest. Where I sat tonight, I couldn't see up, down. I could see even through the plate, but I couldn't really pay attention. I was paying attention as much as I could, but watching the game at the game from where I was sitting, I couldn't tell balls or strikes very well at all.
He had a tight zone. He had a tight zone behind the plate.
I could tell lunging, and the lunging that I saw was from Adames. And, some of those swings that he had are pretty bad right now.
Yeah, I agree. But, he's another one that's been up and down. He had nice 2 hits the other night, hit a home run the other day. And now, again today, 0 for 4, like you said, 2 ground outs, 2 fly balls out in the infield. But we'll see what happens. This is the team that they have to dominate. The next 2 games against 2 right-handers, and both of them have been struggles. So let's see what they can do. If they can score 4 to 8 runs in each game, get this offense rolling before they get into Chicago. But, Rick, thanks for the call, buddy. I'm glad you went to the game today and had a good time. I appreciate you buzzing me.
All right, thanks, Bill.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Bring my buddy Steve Kroner in. Of course, he was reporting for AP tonight. He's ready to give me some lowdown of what the post game was about. We're going to bring Steve Kroner on next, right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
The windup, the pitch, swing and a high pop fly. Shallow left, in and to his left is Ramos. The wind carries it towards center. He's still moving to his left and makes the catch more center than left. And the game is over. And for the first time this year, the Giants have pitched a shutout, a shared shutout between Robbie Ray and Hayden Birdsong.
All right, back on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday night with Bill Lasky. And the Giants, just like John Miller said, threw their first shutout of the 2025 season. And the Rockies only got 3 hits against Robbie Ray and Hayden Birdsong. And the Giants win 4-0, and they've got their 20th win. I talked about this earlier. Only 6 teams in Major League Baseball have 20 wins. When you look at only one team in the American League, that's the Detroit Tigers at 21-12. The Cubs have 20, the Padres have 20, the Giants have 20, and the Mets and the Dodgers have 22. Pretty impressive, no question about it. 3 teams in the NL West have 20 wins or more. All right, let's talk about more baseball. My guest writes for San Francisco Giants prospects for Baseball America. Also 25 years with the San Francisco Chronicle. He was covering for AP tonight. So let's find out a little bit more about some of the post-game reports. Let's talk to Steve Kroner. Good evening, Steve Kroner. How are you?
Bill, it's good to be on with you, and it's good to be inside. It was a little cold at Oracle tonight.
Yeah, the last couple of nights, it looked like the old candlestick winds were there. It was pretty breezy and windy. Last night, Patrick Bailey catching a couple behind home plate, and then, a couple bad misses. But tonight, it just looked like normal candlestick Friday night game, Steve.
Yeah, thankfully there weren't quite the antics in the left field bleachers that there might have been on a Friday night at Candlestick every now and then. But listening to John Miller's call on the rejoinder you guys just had on Hunter Goodman's the last out of the game, that was not an easy play for Elliot Ramos. He kind of battled the Candlestickian winds to make what normally would be an easy play. Not an easy one, but it was the final out.
Steve, you've watched a few games this year at Oracle. The amazing Matt Chapman just keeps getting better each game. He plays such a deep third base, and just how quick he is to the ball and how fast he gets the ball out of his hands. He made another couple dazzling plays where he was behind third base, thrown across the diamond. What did you see watching it live?
Yeah, I think it's sometimes guys are victims of their own success. Matt Chapman does it so often that people take it for granted, and these plays shouldn't be taken for granted. I think the play of the night was the slow roller that McMahon hit in the second inning. When he hit it, I said there's no chance Chapman's going to get him because he does play so deep, and he came in and threw a rocket to first, and give Lamont Wade credit, too. He threw a rocket on one hop, and Lamont Wade made a heck of a scoop to get that ball. But just for Chapman to make that play close, 95% of Major League third basemen do not get an out on that play, but Matt Chapman did.
I agree. Willie Adames made a couple, too, at shortstop. One on a top spin that he had to kind of get way down on the ground, and he caught it up by shoulders and making that throw across the field to Lamont Wade Jr. And I had mentioned Lamont Wade Jr. earlier in the show about some of the plays he made at first, stretching, reaching out. The picks at first base were dynamic. Don't forget, Steve, he was an outfielder, and they converted him into a first baseman. And then finally, he got a nice double down that right field line, right past the first baseman. That was a key hit in that second inning.
That might have been the key hit of the game because the Giants, they came into the game hitting 228, even with a 19-13 record to start. And Lamont Wade has been struggling. There's no way around it. For him to get that hit, to get the first run in, and to then still have runners at second and third and nobody out. The Giants did, Sam Huff did a nice job of situational hitting, getting the sacrifice fly. Then they scored another run on a wild pitch. And to get 3 runs in the second inning on that kind of night with Robbie Ray going, you're feeling pretty good about yourselves if you're the Giants at that situation, at that point in the game.
Steve, watching Verlander and Robbie Ray throw the last 3 starts, they're starting to get a little more confidence in their secondary pitches. Tonight, Robbie Ray went mostly fastball, slider, 8 curveballs, but the slider was very quick. He threw it in different counts, and I keep praising, and you know how I talk about first pitch strikes. When you look at what Robbie Ray did, 18 first pitch strikes for 24 hitters, it gives confidence to your infield. It gives confidence to your catcher and a young catcher in Sam Huff, and it also builds momentum with the starting pitcher.
Here's a stat for you, Bill. The first 2 batters of the game, Robbie Ray threw 14 pitches. the next 6 and the third innings, he needed only 72. He became, I mean, he's been good with the Giants, coming back from surgery. He hasn't been quite to the level he was, say, in 2021 when he won the AL Cy Young Award with Toronto. He's been good, but he really hasn't been efficient. He was really economical tonight after the first 2 batters.
Well, his last 3 starts, 19 innings, 5 walks, 20 strikeouts. That's what we want to see. And as you mentioned, in the beginning of the year, it seemed like there was more walks than strikeouts. He was constantly putting people on base. He was constantly falling behind. And it takes time. And I think what he's got now is he's understanding what he has to do each time going out there, and he's efficient, as you said, per inning. And you talk about 10, 8, 13, 15. As a starting pitcher, you always hear Kruko talk about 15 pitches or less. And if you could do less than 15, it only gets you bigger and stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah, I was not a math major, Bill, but I believe if you take Mike's 7 innings for 15 pitches, that would be 105, and he's at 86. And there was Bob Melvin was asked in his post-game news conference, was there some thought about having Robbie Ray go out for the 8th? And he said, of course, Robbie was, campaigning for it, but Bob said that, he liked the fact that Robbie had only 86 pitches. If he goes out for the 8th inning, he's probably going to get over the 100. He hasn't thrown more than 100 in any game this season. To get 7 innings out of him and have only 86 pitches, that's kind of a double bonus for Bob Melvin and the Giants.
One of the good things when you're starting to see this team now, Steve, they went through that 17-game stretch. Now you're going to see off days every Thursday the rest of the month of May. So these guys are going to get an extra day rest. Of course, he's always pushed Logan Webb on the 5th day. Of course, Logan throws Sunday. Will he get that start on Friday, or will he get an extra day's rest with Thursday being off? I'm going to find out. We will find out if that day of rest is going to push these guys back one, or if he keeps the same rotation straight.
This is solely my opinion. I haven't heard Bob Melvin say it. I think this early in the year, he's probably going to let the guys just stay on turn, unless somebody has a terrible outing over the next few days. I would think you kind of take advantage of the off days, particularly having gone through a 17-day stretch without an off day. My thought is, at least for the first couple of those Thursdays, you just stay on turn, and then maybe if it's maybe if a Logan Webb has a short outing and you want to get him back out there quicker. But I think at this point, again, nothing direct from Bob Melvin, just my opinion. I think they stay on turn for the next couple of weeks.
And Steve, you talk about 2 games in San Diego, 4 here, then 3 in Chicago. So you're talking a 9-game stretch here before they get that day off in Minnesota. And then they come back for Minnesota. They play the Diamondbacks here. So you're going to get another NL West team coming in here. And you don't really see too many NL West teams until June. The Diamondbacks are the only team you see in the month of May. It's going to be some interleague, as well as staying in some of the NL Central or NL East teams. This month of May, I think, really helps the Giants with the contenders they're playing.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of I know I sound like a crotchety old man. I'm not a fan of everybody playing everybody in playing the other 29 teams in the league. I like it better when you play your division more often than, it used to be you play them 18 or 19 games a season. Now it's down to 13 or 14. And I think that the division ought to matter more. But the schedule is what it is, and the Giants have taken advantage of it so far.
Well, last year they opened up with San Diego and L.A. It seemed like they played them for the first 2 weeks of the season, and then they didn't play them till end of August and September. This year they pushed it back a little bit. I still question the 17 games in a row. That should not have happened. That's just too long of a strand, especially when you go into the East Coast, New York, Philadelphia, come back here, and then you got a long homestand. Kansas City Royals were the only other team that has done that. and Kansas City struggled through it too. The Giants went 10-7. Then they come back, go 5-2 on the homestand. This homestand, they have to really get after these next two starting pitchers for when you look at what the Rockies are throwing out there. A real young pitcher tomorrow, and he hasn't even really pitched that much. Bradley Blaylock and then Herman Marquez, and he's 0-5 with a 9.8 earned run average. Every start in his last 4 starts with Herman, 7, 6, 7, and 5. Those are how many earned runs each game he gave up. So I really think they're in a good position here in the next 2 games with Jordan Hicks and Logan Webb to get out of here with 3 out of 4 against Colorado and have some momentum on that road trip.
Yeah, Feltner was supposed to start tomorrow for Colorado. I believe he's gone on the IL, which is the reason that Blaylock is starting. So, yeah, you got a guy who obviously does not have a whole lot of major league experience. Sometimes, it's the old thing: who has the advantage when it's the first time of a matchup between the hitter and the pitcher? Does the pitcher have the advantage, or does the hitter? Bill, from your experience on the mound in the bigs, would you prefer having a hitter you hadn't ever faced? Did you think you had the advantage there, or did you think the hitter did?
Oh, 100% I have the advantage on him because back in our day, he didn't get to see video of us, but he got to see statistics. Now you have an advantage. You get to see every video that the pitcher throws and what pitches he throws in certain counts, always with the analytics. In our day, you didn't get to see hitters either, so it was a back and forth. But it was always, that pinch hitter coming out when you're in that 5th, 6th, 7th inning. They had no chance if you just hit your spots, and you could do that with the rhythm you're in, especially in the middle part of the innings. But tomorrow they'll have something on Blaylock because he pitched with Milwaukee. He came over last year in a trade. In 2024, he threw 30 2/3 innings. He had a 5.8 earned run average. So there is some analytics with him. There is something with charting of what pitches he throws. I just look at this team playing a couple day games, light this crowd up, and score some double-digit runs.
That sounds like a plan to me, Bill.
Let me ask you, Steve, what did you hear in the post game? Anything else besides what Bob Melvin said? Maybe some remarks from some players?
I did stay there for Robbie Ray, and Robbie basically said, once he got through those first 14 pitches, he got in a groove. Of course, he complimented his defense. Of course, Matt Chapman, and he mentioned, the wind was pretty tough, that some of those fly balls that looked easy weren't as easy as they looked. He's in a pretty good groove right now. And, the Giants have won all 7 of his starts this season. And this stat, I think, it caught my eye. I did a little research on it. The last time the Giants had a starting pitcher start the season with a longer streak of the team winning in each of his starts, you got to go back to 1992 with Bill Swift. Bill Swift, in the 1992 Giants were not great. Let's just be honest. They weren't great. And in fact, it was the year that they were that was going to end their time in San Francisco. They were going to move to the Tampa Bay area until the ownership group came in. But in any event, they won the first 11 starts that Bill Swift made. And those were the first 11 starts he made with the Giants. He had come over from Seattle. I think people kind of forget how good Bill Swift was with the Giants. He had
was it in 92?
ERA.
Steve, was it in 92 when Burkett and Swift both won 20 games?
That was the next year. It was 93. That was when everything had changed. That they were staying, and Dusty Baker became the manager, and Barry Bonds came to the team, and they won 103 games and still didn't make the playoffs. Sorry to end that stretch so badly. But, yeah, that in 93 was when Burkett and Swift were the great 1-2 punch.
Billy Swift had some great years with the Mariners also. That's where he really came to fashion up there. Of course, the sinker slider was devastating. And he was really one of the first ones that threw that sinker 90 miles an hour and had a good whip to it. Now you got Jordan Hicks throwing a sinker at 98 miles an hour. I don't know how he does it because, that is so much pressure on your elbow. But Billy Swift was a ground ball machine, boy, no doubt.
Yeah, and he had a good defense behind him. And, I'm just looking. He pitched for the Giants for 3 years, 92 to 94. He went 39-19, and I know win-loss record is not supposed to mean much, but it means something. He went 39-19, had a 2.70 ERA, and he had 296 strikeouts to 129 walks. That's a pretty good 3-year stretch for any pitcher.
That's very impressive. And you don't think about it until you hear about it, and then you see how consistent he was. And you said it just now about Robbie Ray, 7 starts, 7 wins. He keeps his team in the ball game. He keeps that low number down. And I was reading the numbers off earlier, 3-1-1-4-2-2-0. That's how many runs the opposition got in those 7 games that they all won. And you know what? That's what your role is. Somebody asked me on one of the extra inning post game shows, do you think Logan Webb gets mad because he doesn't have wins? And I go, absolutely not. Logan Webb wants his team to win every start he goes out there. That's all he gives a damn about.
Yeah, it's the same thing I heard some people talking. Look, Justin Verlander obviously would like to get a W in his column with the Giants, but I'm sure he said it, and I know Bob Melvin said it. The more important thing is the team win or the team loss, depending on what happens. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if a starting pitcher pitches well, you'd like to get him a win, but the most important thing is that he pitched well. And for the most part, the Giants starting pitching has pitched very well, and for the most part, the Giants bullpen has pitched very, very well.
Yeah, the bullpen has that good mix going right now. There's a good mix of anybody coming in there, and they're giving guys a good amount of time or rest. Of course, last year it seemed like they were in every game. It just seemed like it. This year, they're getting 1 or 2 days, and I think that's going to help them as the season progresses. And these starting pitchers are starting to go 5-6 innings. 6 innings, quality starts. That is the big plus that I'm seeing here in the last week.
Right, that's kind of the old chicken or the egg. Are the relievers doing well because the starters are doing well, or vice versa? You know what I'm saying? Because I think if you look over the Giants over the past couple of years, they're particularly in, if I remember correctly, 2023, the bullpen was lights out, even with however many openers they were using. Through July, the bullpen had been lights out, and that's why they were still in the race. But you can't keep using the bullpen over and over and over again. It's going to catch up to you in August and September, which it did in 2023.
Good call.
And right now, the Giants their bullpen, as you say, Bill, has been used judiciously and well. And you'd like to think, come August and September, the Giants are still in the race, whether it be for the division or for a wild card spot. And their bullpen is, not rested. Nobody's rested in August, but is at least healthy enough and rested enough that they can get through August and September pitching as well as they had the previous 4 months.
Steve Kroner joining me for a few more minutes on Sports Phone KNBR. The numbers are dipping a little worse on the offense. The batting averages seem like they're falling backwards. You talked about the team batting average when you're looking at 227 going into this 4-game, homestand. 125 at bats. I think that's the most I see. Maybe a little less than that. Adames today was at 124. He had 4 at bats. Chapman's at 110. Jung-Hoo Lee's at 117. Ramos has 125. Those are the guys that are playing regularly. You've been covering baseball for a long time. When do you think you start reading into these numbers? 200 at bats, 250, or do you wait kind of the 300?
Yeah, I think 200, 250. I mean, because to me, the traditional first marker for a team and a player is 40 games. So the Giants have played 33. So, if we're talking again next Friday night, or, if you start looking next weekend is, I think, when you can start making some legitimate analysis of teams. That doesn't mean that the first quarter of the season is going to be the first quarter of the season dictates what the final 3 quarters are. But to me, until you at least get to the 1 quarter mark, a lot of numbers, unless they're unbelievably good or unbelievably bad, you really can't delve into them. But yeah, I mean, I think the fact that the Giants are 20-13 with as many guys still struggling offensively,
Yeah.
it's a testament to their pitching and defense. Because if it weren't for their pitching and defense, and they have had the overused phrase, but it's been accurate for them, they have had timely hitting for the most part. Because if they didn't have timely hitting, they wouldn't be 20-13.
Yeah, I threw this number out to a caller, and I looked this up today, and the first 18 games, they were 13-5, averaging 5.6 runs a game. The last 14, 6-8, average of 3.2 runs a game. And you look at that, and you start diving in a little bit more. The bullpen was starting to get hit a little bit more. And you start in the beginning, the bullpen was lights out. There's an up and down to this, no question. I just think it's too early when you start diving into these numbers. I think it's too early to split them and then start saying, oh, they haven't been playing that great. They have been. They've had some rough outings. They've had some good starting pitchers that went against them. And I think I look at that,
absolutely.
four times, Steve, they've been shut out. So you're looking at that, going into tonight's game, they were 20-12 with 4 shutouts. So the ups and downs of the offense are going to play most of the year. But I'm right with you. The defense is sound and starting pitching starting to get better. I think hitting's going to get on fire.
Yeah. Whether it's going to get on fire, that might be a little bit much. But I do.
I think they're going to get hot.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
The warmer weather. I think the warmer
better.
weather is going to bring it out. I do.
Right. And look, is the old thing too, the back of the baseball card. Matt Chapman's hitting 202 right now. Now Matt Chapman's not a 300 hitter, but he's not a 202 hitter either. He's going to, you figure he'll get up to 250, 275, somewhere in that range. Jung-Hoo Lee hitting 314 right now. We don't know. I mean, he obviously did great in the KBO, but we don't know. We haven't had enough of a sample of Jung-Hoo Lee to know what his baseline is going to be. You'd like to think he's going to be a 300 hitter. He's got the speed for it. He certainly seems like he can be, but it'd be disingenuous to say he's going to do that. Willie Adames is hitting 211 right now. You'd like to think that's going to get up to, again, somewhere in the 250 to 270 range. So they've had enough guys. I think the biggest question mark for me, if I looked at for their offense, would be the bottom 2 hitters in the order tonight were Sam Huff and Christian Koss. Now, Christian Koss is in there because Tyler Fitzgerald's hurt, and Tyler Fitzgerald has been a pretty good offensive catalyst for them. But between Sam Huff and Patrick Bailey, they have not gotten a ton of offense from the catching position, and Patrick Bailey has been struggling offensively since the middle of last season. So can he get back to where he was early in his first season and early last season? I think that's a big question mark for the Giants going forward for their offense.
It's just going to take time. We know that. But as we both talk about it, 20-13, if you would have said that out of spring training, you would have said, hell yeah, I'll take that at first 33 games. I think everybody would. Can they get better? No question. They can get better. And we talked about it. We always talk about it. Their defense has been playing well. When you look at 13 errors so far, top 2 teams out of 30 teams, their defense has been stellar. We just need to see a little bit more offense, some more run support, and they just got to break out. I think once they break out, some bats are going to get hot.
Yeah, and another guy we failed to mention, or we did mention a little earlier, Lamont Wade Jr. I mean, he has really struggled. He had a key hit tonight. You figure he's not going to hit 131.
I hope not. Let's hope not.
for Lamont's sake and for the Giants' sake. But if he improves by 100 points, he's still hitting 230, 231, and that's below his average. So if you believe that guys are going to get to where they normally are, most of the Giants are going to improve through the next couple of months. Will they ever be a Go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to
say, will they ever be a – I'm going to stop. You go ahead, Bill.
No, all I was going to say is when you're looking at teams, the bottom of the order has always been a struggle. And that's what you're going to have to get some better productivity out of these guys because they need it. They need to get better. You need a Bailey to hit better. You need a Lamont Wade Jr. to hit better because you are thriving on right-hand starters.
Yep. And, I don't think the Giants right now, to be honest, will ever be a big-time offensive team this season. But I certainly think they can be a better offensive team. And if their defense and pitching can hold to what it has been for 33 games, a decent offensive team with a very good pitching staff and a very good defense, that can win you a lot of games. And look, 20-13, I did the math. They'd win 98 games. If you win 20 out of every 33, you get 98 wins. That's a pretty good season.
I'll raise my hand and I'll take that, Steve Kroner. But again, great stuff as always. Late night, Steve Kroner on a Friday is my buddy. But I appreciate everything you do and appreciate you going to the game, reporting a little bit on the inside of the post-game remarks. And once again, a good time with you.
Bill, always a pleasure. Look forward to the next time.
That was Steve Kroner on Sports Phone KNBR. We're going to bring it back and wrap it up as the Giants win 4-0. A first shutout for the San Francisco Giants. I'm Bill Lasky. We'll be right back on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
All right, back on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky on a Friday night as we close it out. Giants win 4-0. First shutout the Giants threw were a 2025 season. Matt Chapman with his sixth home run. That happened in the third inning to open the scoring up to 4-0. Robbie Ray, great game today. Once again, 7 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. He wins his fourth game. Hayden Birdsong comes in and throws 2 shutout innings. Tomorrow, 1:05 first pitch. We're going to see Jordan Hicks against Bradley Blaylock, 2 right-handers. And after that, the extra inning post-game show will come on, and I'll be on there. And we'll right back after Logan Webb on Sunday also. I want to thank my guest today, Steve Kroner, for coming on late night. It's always a great conversation. If you missed that, you can hear that all KNBR podcast. Also, I'd like to thank my producer, Jacob Valente, and Ryan for picking up the phones. And I want to thank Giants fans for participating in the show. It's always great talking Giants baseball with you. For Bill Lasky, have a great rest of the Friday night. and be safe, be well. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.